3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? You're watching another episode of Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. Here is today's comic, Usagi Yojimbo, number 1. Joining me, as always, is Stan the Man. How you doing, Stan? Good to see you. Usagi Yojimbo is a very meaningful comic book to me. It's probably to indie comics what X-Men is to me to mainstream comics. When I got into comics, X-Men was what pulled me in. I was mainstream, but I quickly discovered once I started collecting comics and going to a real comic book store, and I had access, and I was like, I'd open my eyes like, oh my gosh, this world of indie comics that you didn't see on the newsstands. And there was something about indie comics that their unrefined feel, the amateurness to them. I don't know if it was something like maybe it was like, oh, this is attainable. You know, I can't do Marvel comics, but maybe I could do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic. It felt attainable that you could do if you were dreaming of creating your own comics or doing things like that. There was something also, there was something just really out of the box. Indie comics like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Usagi Yojimbo were just, they didn't conform to the norms. And the mainstream comics kind of have this problem where they don't want to break tradition. They don't want to break the sort of like what works. Now DC did ultimately do this with like Vertigo. Marvel dabbled a little bit with their Epic line. Like Marvel did actually have Gru the Wanderer, which is another favorite comic of mine. That's very much feels like an indie comic. So Marvel and DC did try, and DC actually did really successfully, although their comics, their alternative comics became kind of mainstream in their own way. Still, you wouldn't see DC do something like Usagi Yojimbo, right? I'm a huge fan. I remember when Albedo was coming out, and the name Albedo didn't strike me. I'm kicking myself now because I think like Albedo number 1 is like worth several $1,000s. But whatever. So I missed the boat on that, but I caught it later with Usagi Yojimbo. I was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan first because ninjas were cooler than samurai when I was a kid. And Usagi always looked really kind of cartoony. The turtles looked cooler. They were grittier, edgier. And Usagi looked kind of silly, and I judged it. I have a tendency to judge a lot of comics by their covers. I ended up trying an Usagi Yojimbo for some reason. I think Stan Sakai was the letterer for Gru. So in the indie scene, there was like kind of a circle. There was a crossover with Turtles and Usagi Yojimbo. So I kind of something got me to read it, and then ultimately once I like read Usagi, I was like, oh my god, this is not minor league comics. Stan Sakai is a comics master. Now here's the credits here. Stan Sakai is more of a cartoonist than a comic artist. He both writes and draws Usagi. He's always done so. It's his creation. It's his baby. And so a lot of people don't really want a cartoon strip, or in a book, cartoon book. And I can understand that on the surface you look at this and go, yeah, this isn't for me. Like, I urge you, though, to give it a try. This book starts off with this character that I'm not familiar with because I missed many, many Usagi Yojimbo books in my 25-year absence of comics. I almost, several times, went to a local comic book store. I was like, you know what? I just want to pick up Usagi Yojimbo. The whole time I was away, I really was like, you know, Marvel's not the same for me anymore and stuff, but Usagi never changed. It never diminished my love. I just wasn't getting it because I wasn't into comics. But there's many times where I was like, I just want to go to a store and maybe just pull Usagi Yojimbo. But I never actually pulled the trigger. So I did miss quite a bit. I'm looking forward to collecting trades and going back and revisiting my love for that, especially now that this book is out. It's a number 1. So I can jump on the ball, get it going, like from launch, and of course, do a video. Dog's got it. Yeah, you know what you're doing. Go outside. So, I don't know this character. I have a feeling he's an existing character. Hardcore Usagi fans are going to maybe know who he is. His name's Sasuke, and he's chopping up all these demons. He's like, "Foul demons, your numbers are endless." And they're like, "Grr, grr, Gnash." And then he does some maneuver, Bakaroom. And then demons all get knocked away. He's weak. Demon Queller. Eh? Oh no. You will pay for killing my children. And this giant demon beast comes out, and then he's ready to fight. No more will you prey on people. I'll kill you and crunch your bones. I'm not very thirsty. He chops his arm off. Grah! He breathes fire on this guy. Icy blast wind. Now, I've been away from Usagi for a long time. The Usagi that I remember was very traditional samurai stories. There was a little bit of mysticism occasionally, but for the most part, Stan Sakai always kept his books grounded in reality and history. He did tell a couple of ghost stories now and then and things, but he never did this. This is very anime-ish or manga. It's a very. If you read manga or watch anime, you'll know the whole like using abilities and then announcing what ability you're using is a very staple trope of that medium. Now Stan is a fan of Japanese. Stan is Japanese, is Japanese American, but he's a big fan of Japanese lore. He's not like a Japanese from Japan. I'm pretty sure he's an American Japanese, and he's just a fan of his heritage, and he studies the history. And so this kind of came off as new to me, but I was like, oh, that's weird. I've never seen like people use powers in his book. So he blasts him, and then I like this panel here, the sequence. He's like, and you can see he's taking a step, right foot, and then propelling him forward. The left foot is leaping, and your mind can kind of fill in the animated blanks as he leaps up in the air. His sword goes back, and then he leaps across. In a samurai trope, of course, where they do like the pass, and then you like wonder what happens, and it's like, he falls, pose, dead. Geez, sorry about the dog noise. They just love to get attention. He's panting. Sasuke! Huh? Old and withered. You have conquered the demons of Mount Funai. You are exhausted and your life force is almost completely drained. But there is more danger in the wind. Go to Kuriyama-mura. Yes, Lord Shoki. And he's walking. Notice this. This is something I like that Stan Sakai does. He's been doing it forever. Page numbers. Remember when comics had page numbers? I like this. I like being able to go, hey, go to page 9. In comics nowadays, you got to like manually count. So we cut to this scene. And this threw me off at first. I was like, man, what's up with these characters? And they're like, it's like, did Stan like phone in the drawing of his character? I mean, I know he does cartoon work, but usually just a little bit better. It turns out that this whole thing is a show. It's puppeteers. Jeez, dogs. Sorry about that, dog door. My videos are just nothing but professional. So they're like, oh, look at the audience. Oh, I'm so scared. Shh. And one of the other things I love about Sakai's work, he writes these really fun tales. He likes to incorporate a lot of Japanese history. He educates the reader on Japanese lore, and he doesn't do it in a way that feels like he's teaching you. He'll do like research on things himself. Like he probably researched what a benraku, I believe that's what it's called, benraku, is this type of play. And so then he'll do a story, like it'll inspire him to do a story about it. And you, the reader, will be like, oh, I learned about what a benraku is. And it's just very effortless. So you see these guys in the back all dressed in black, and they're manipulating the puppets. And Usagi's very impressed, and the play goes on, and they talk about how the Bunraku can go like for an entire day. So they have an intermission, and the guy's like, "Please, thank you for attending our performance. The next act will begin after a brief intermission. I hope you will return." And Usagi's like, "Huh? And he's like, "What a cliffhanger! This certainly is an exciting play." This is another thing I like about old school comics that you don't see anymore: thought balloons. We can actually get into the head of the character. Modern comics is all about try to be like movies and TV. So you never hear thoughts. You rarely even get narrative bubbles or squares. It's just all dialogue driven, and sometimes it can be for the best and the right type of stories, but it's not good for all comics. This is something comics used to do all the time. Thought balloons. I wish I could stay for the entire day, but the Bunraku plays usually go for an entire. Wish I can stay for the entire story, but the Bunraku plays usually go for an entire day. Maybe I'll be able to see it another time. And then he's like, "That was an amazing performance. Samurai, thank you for attending our show." This is another thing that you're going to like a bit about Usagi Yojimbo, is it just breathes this old school Japanese culture. If you want to get kind of lost in like feudal Japan and just a culture that's not our own, it's so refreshing. And there's good guys and there's bad guys and there's honorable people and dishonorable people, but I just love it. I feel it's escapism in its own right. And I love that Sakai will often put a lot of these little details. I'm not seeing any particularly at this moment for the way the story is going on, but oftentimes you'll want to like pay attention to the entire panel and see things in the background that people are doing or saying. His books, how do I say this? Like they're very well polished, and he pays attention to detail, and everything kind of matters. So Usagi is talking to the master playwright, and talking about plays and different things, and you can kind of see like this guy is blind, the master, and as Usagi leaves, he kind of has this cocked eyebrow, and you're like, oh, dun dun dun, is there something mysterious about him? And Stan likes to write kind of these mysterious stories, as you, the reader, don't necessarily know what's happening at first. Usagi is just sort of the catalyst. He kind of just runs into things. He has adventures. As you notice, this book didn't even start off with Usagi. It started off with this Sasuke character. So Sasuke now shows up in town, and he's friends. And Usagi's like, "Sasuke, did you enjoy the performance?" Oh, this is interesting, because Usagi's climbing out, and he's thinking, "I didn't know why they made theater entrances so low." And then he hears, "To discourage people from sneaking in without paying." Huh? Sasuke. That's what he's like, "Did you enjoy the performance?" Like, "How did you know what I was thinking?" "You must have been thinking out loud." "No, I don't think so." And this is a kind of an interesting thing I like too about Usagi is Usagi's not stupid by any means. He's a smart guy, but he's kind of naive. He's not really worldly, so he doesn't necessarily know everything. And that's a good thing, because you, the reader, are taken along in this journey. You don't necessarily know everything either in the world. And so Usagi is your representative. So that you can, when you're learning things, and it's like, we, the reader, don't understand how this guy knew what Usagi, either does Usagi. And so he can always just be like, wait, what's going on? I'm not quite understanding. And then he gets this answer, and he's like, "I don't buy this answer. So wherever you're here, it appears that because bad things are going to happen. And why are you here?" And then he's just like, "Whoa, there's some evil here, isn't there?" He's just all straight-faced. "Well, isn't there? Let's go to an inn and talk." And Usagi's like, "Here's one." And Sasuke's like, "Not there. The owner is a Nukakubi in disguise." Usagi's like, "Who?" "Don't worry, he's sworn off flesh-eating people, or eating people flesh, but I still don't like his menu." And Usagi's just like, what the? Come in, sir. So Stan likes to do some of these little cute, like, funny bits like that. Like I said, my experience with Usagi is not the supernatural. This is a not normal for me. The sense of humor and the sense of wonder and not knowing things like that, and Usagi not being in on the greater knowledge, so he has to figure it out in his adventure, is kind of a staple, but this is kind of new to me. I'm not sure how I think about it. I really kind of, maybe it's because it's ingrained in me, I like the more traditional stories, but I'm going to give this one a shot and see how it goes. The Sasuke character seems interesting. Usagi's just kind of like, his face. And Stan can tell a lot of story in these facial expressions. I really like that. You don't even have to read, and you can just kind of see where they're going. And and he's referencing some books back here. You can see they talk about some things. Usagi book 26. So now it's like, oh, it's kind of referencing old stories. So if you are a person who's followed along, or if you're a person who's just jumping in and you want to go back, you know where to go. I think that's really cool. Let me see the town at night. Someone's looks like maybe sneaking around, and we go and we see the puppets of that play. Looking around, there's a hand up there. What's going on? And then blink, and then when the puppet comes alive, and it's like, to be continued. So we got a mystery on our hands. Really, dog? Come on. Yeah, you got caught. Obviously, I enjoyed it. I'm predisposed to enjoy it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not the best Usagi book I've ever read. I don't expect, if this is going to be your first Usagi book, it's probably not the best book to be your first Usagi book. It's not going to just like, oh my God, I'm a fan for life now because I read this. It's got a lot of staples and the charm and things that make Usagi what I love. But this is sort of just more of an average book. I still encourage you to buy it. I think it'll all come together like it always does. Stan, like I said, is just a master. Hey, Stan. Comic creator's name's Stan. It's a good name for a comic creator. In the letters page, which they don't have yet, but they're saying, welcome to the beginning of the new era of Usagi Yojimbo. We here at IDW Publishing are very excited to bring the newest Usagi tales, courtesy of Stan Sakai and colorist Tom Luth, in the coming months and years, and we'll be reprinting the entirety of the Usagi library in color, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. For now, we hope you'll enjoy these new issues and write into the below address or email and tell us what you think. As always, Stan puts a great deal of research into his stories. For more historical context, please enjoy some of his notes for the story you are currently reading. And this is something I like. You know, like I said, he does research on his books or his stories, and then you'll get this little story note thing at the end. So if you are actually interested in learning more and you want to be taught something, you can opt to read this and go, oh, I want to learn more about what a bunraku is, and where it comes from and what it's all about. But if you're not, like, I don't want to read comics to like be school. You know, I don't want to learn. These books aren't like that at all. It's very painless. It's just, you know, here's a few little tidbits and you learn something. And now if you're really interested and you want to know the details, you can opt to do here. And that's a really fine way to do things. I believe, actually, as you get into Usagi Yojimbo, you'll find yourself reading these things because this is fascinating. History and culture, I think, are very fascinating. And Stan writes characters so fun. I talk often about the qualities of writing, and I usually say there's like two types of writing that I find in comics. One is the kind of just being able to tell a good narrative, a good quality story, good drama, or whatever, with a 3-act structure, beginning, middle, and end, and you know how to do that. And then there's the other kind of writer who's the creator, who thinks of wild ideas, and it's like, what if this happened, and what if we went this direction? And you're just like, oh my God, that's crazy. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can be that crazy idea person. But not everyone can also be a really solid, storyteller. The really, really great ones can do both. But there's another aspect of writing that's really important, that's kind of a subsect of that, is character writing. Sometimes you can be interested in reading and nothing's going on, right? You just love the characters. The characters you find so charming or fascinating, their personalities, and all you care about is just seeing them interact with people, seeing them interact in the world, and it's fun. Being able to do character development is this very strong skill set, and that's what Stan is so great at. He's also a very good storyteller. He'll do mysteries. You won't really know what's going on. You're gonna read this book and you're gonna go, oh, what's going on with this? The puppet's coming alive. You don't know, and he keeps you guessing. And he's really strong at doing plots. So both of those things are his strengths. This is a great book. This has been longer than I wanted. I didn't think I was going to be able to talk that much on Usagi. They do have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Usagi one-shot crossover coming up, which they give a little preview of. I thought it was weird because they don't actually show the turtles in the preview. They just show Usagi talking to some villagers. But whatever. It's always cool. I think it's kind of cool that IDW... I'm not a big fan of IDW as a publisher, but I guess if they have Turtles, now Usagi, all being under the same house, if they could get Gru the Wanderer, sign me up. But I'm excited that they're going to reprint all these Usagis in color, because Usagi is never in color, by the way. He's almost always black and white. And I really like that, actually. I feel like Stan's line work shines better in black and white. But it's kind of a nice thing to see in color. I'm kind of spoiled too. So best of both worlds. I don't know. Maybe that's a good reason to pick up the series. I missed, instead of getting the back issues and hunting down, I can go forward and get the color issues. We'll see. I got plenty of time to think about that. Anyways, this is a 3-issue series. Give it a shot. Usagi Yojimbo, by the way, even though there's some violence you saw, it's very cartoon violence. It's never bloody and gory. People do die, but it's never done it's done in a kind of a Disney way. Stan Sakai does not write down towards children, but his books are very appropriate to kids. I think you can definitely, all of his books you can show to kids. They're very family friendly, but they are not kids' books, if you get what I'm saying. So don't feel like, I don't want to read this childish stuff, because on the surface it kind of looks like it is. It's not. So hopefully this is valuable. This is informative video for you. I love Usagi Yojimbo. I can't express, maybe as the series goes on and I talk more about future books, I can maybe articulate better what makes him so great to me. And I wish this book were a better example of that. Maybe I can go back to an old classic Usagi book and do it. If you like Usagi, please tell me down below what what your thoughts are. If you've never read Usagi Yojimbo, tell me what your thoughts are after watching this video. If you're going to try it out, like, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for watching and giving me your time. I do appreciate it. And Stan appreciates it. And Stan appreciates it. Oh, the two Stans. I wish I could get a Stan. I wish I could get a Stan Sakai pop. That'd be pretty cool. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.